Hey, what's going on, everybody? Max here with BB, and today for 10 minutes max, we're going to be talking about how altcoins are bluffing here. All right, maybe 4 months ago, I made a video. You guys really enjoyed it, and it was called Bitcoin Might Be Bluffing Here. Bitcoin was amidst one of its treacherous pullbacks. It might have been like an early Q2 pullback. And I hopped on here and I made a long, probably about half-hour video explaining why I thought that Bitcoin was bluffing here. This was not about to be the end of the cycle, why prices were just cooling off, and this was just a nasty Bitcoin correction and a corrective phase before ultimately resolving much, much higher. Bitcoin is now in the 90 to 100K region, pushing mid 90s, going to be 100K soon, I'm sure. Altcoins are behaving a little bit erratically. All right. But I'm here to tell you, like I was many months ago, that Bitcoin was bluffing. I am now here today telling you it is my opinion that altcoins are now bluffing and the best is yet to come. And I'm going to explain to you guys why I think that is. All right. So let's not waste any time. Let's get into the charts, guys. So this is a primary focus of mine right here. All right. So this is the others dominance chart. All right. So what are we looking at? So others itself, I'm going to give a really quick, just for the new people. All right. What is this? Others is your altcoin or your shitcoin index. All right. It's everything in crypto by market cap minus the top 10. So take away Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, BNB, XRP, Tether. You get the point. All right. So it's everything outside the top 10. Now, others dominance is that shitcoin ETF that I just showed you guys, but represented as a percentage of the total crypto asset class, right? So right now, the shitcoin ETF called others is at 9%. You'll see the axis over here on the right side is in percentages, okay? So think of it as a pie chart, right? When this chart goes up, that means that altcoins are gaining market share against the majors, the top 10. When it's bleeding, that means that it's better to just hold Bitcoin and ETH and BNB and whatever, the big ones, okay? But altcoins, as you'll notice today, Bitcoin's having a fantastic day, right? Bitcoin has been looking really solid. Bitcoin's at 93.6. It was at like almost 95 this morning, but there's just red across the board. Every altcoin is bleeding, right? ETH is down 2%. ETH BTC is in free fall. Doge is down. Like, certainly our on chain stuff is down. Like, everything's getting their teeth kicked in, right? And I see a lot of people right now failing to recognize what is right in front of them, okay? Just like I told you that Bitcoin was bluffing many months ago when it was dipping under 60K, I'm telling you that I think that altcoins are bluffing right now. I think that Bitcoin might be bluffing here. ETH BTC looks incredible. It looks like it's going to rip higher. I believe that we've done the same little, purple, green, red for others BTC, our shitcoin ratio every single time. I believe that the next 300 to 400 days could potentially be life-changing for those holding and convicted to altcoins. I think that this is the beginning of alt season rather than the end of the cycle. So I'm going to get this video out as soon as possible. I'm not selling anything. If the captain goes down with his ship, then he goes down with his ship. So there's something that is repetitive that happens every single cycle. Okay. And we're going to talk about the repetition, the predictable movements and pivot points, and the cyclical timing of things. All right. So I saved some of these drawings in advance. We're going to go over a couple of them, and then we're going to add on some other things as well. All right. So let's start with this one right here. I added these on in advance. Now, what I need to do is I need to add on Bitcoin down below. All right, because Bitcoin is the key to all of this, right? All of your altcoins, they trade based off of what Bitcoin is doing ultimately. Bitcoin gives your altcoins the all clear to rip or to dip, right? So Bitcoin is either being extremely insincere right now and is ripping and getting ready to pull the rug and that altcoins are going to die, or basically Bitcoin is acting as a liquidity vacuum and it's ripping aggressively, leaving nobody interested in altcoins for the time being until suddenly they catch that huge tidal wave rotation. So let's walk through this chart together. Okay. I'm going to mark just a few lines on here first, and then we're going to move it up. So here is the previous cycle all-time high for Bitcoin in 2017 when it went on to make a new high. Here it was last cycle when Bitcoin was just about 20K. And here it is in its current cycle. All right. Previous all-time high. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move Bitcoin up here so it's a little bit bigger and we have some room to doodle. All right. So we need some room to doodle. All right. So what we have here is Bitcoin down below with others dominance up top. And we're going to talk about the phases of a market cycle, and it should be able to clearly highlight and illustrate to you how capital flows and moves. All right. So just because I have to do it the right way, we're going to put Bitcoin right here. There we go. So what you'll notice here is that others dominance has done the same type of rotation every single cycle. All right. Bitcoin puts in its bear market low, right? Bear market bottom marked by the red line. And what do we see? We see a little tiny dead cat bounce out of others dominance. That little dead cat bounce is just people going, hey, Bitcoin's bouncing. Bottom looks like it's in. Let's bid some altcoins, right? Talk about getting beat up. There's a little bit of opportunity. So they bid a little bit of altcoins. Let's move forward. We'll go through the red dots first, okay? Bitcoin puts in a bear market bottom. And you get a little mini alt pump, right? Altcoins kind of pump as Bitcoin finds its footing off the floor. How about this last time? FTX happens, Bitcoin bottoms. What do you know? We get a little tiny altcoin bid, right? Just like we have every single cycle. Then, after the red dot, Bitcoin moves off the bottom pretty aggressively. Again, look at here. Bitcoin moves off the bottom pretty aggressively. And what happens? Altcoins bleed down to their capitulatory low. Others dominance capitulates, and you put in your green dot bottom. Okay, see how that happens? Bitcoin leads off of the bottom. That happens every cycle. And then once Bitcoin kind of gives the all clear, like, hey, I'm really ripping higher here. I'm leading off the bottom. Bottom is in. We're moving. We're chugging along. Halving's in a couple years. It's time to get this show on the road. Then what we see is Bitcoin start charging towards the all-time high. It takes a while to get there, but it starts to charge. And what do we see at that same time? We see the blue zone. All right. We see the blue dot. Once Bitcoin definitively marks that bear market bottom, gives confirmation to altcoins, we see a mini alt season, which is marked by our blue dot. Okay. So what happened here? You put in your capitulatory low, and then you put in the blue dot. You get a little mini test pump for alt season before Bitcoin goes into price discovery, right? Mini alt season happens under the previous cycle all-time high, okay? It happens right up in here, right? Same thing that happens every cycle, all right? See this? Same thing. And then as Bitcoin chops under the previous cycle all-time high, what we see is that altcoins get destroyed. But they come back and they do something very important, okay? They capitulate down as Bitcoin treks up into price discovery, but they come back and they put in a first high time frame higher low. They capitulate, but not to a new low. Precisely what has just happened over here. So again, Bitcoin treks into price discovery last cycle, 2 cycles ago, and now. And others' dominance is putting in that high time frame higher low. All right, I got a lot of drawings on this chart. Let me clear them up. All right. But I just wanted to walk through phase by phase because up until this point, this cycle has not been different than previous ones. We are right on track from a cyclical perspective. Okay. The timing is perfect. So people could say to me like, well, Max, this time is different and Bitcoin maxis, are telling me this is like the global adoption cycle and countries are buying and BlackRock is buying and all this stuff. I heard that last cycle too. I heard everything and then some last cycle too. El Salvador started buying last cycle. That was the countries are bidding. Then some institutions, not through ETFs, but other companies got involved. Then you had like celebrities and NFL superstars talking about it, taking paychecks in Bitcoin. You had Tom Brady dancing on TikTok with Sam from FTX. There was a very famous Bitcoin maxi space called Celebrating the Death of ETH BTC, right? Like the altcoin grave dancing happens right here in this higher low, right? Right here in the higher low, right before things get crazy. Triggered, of course, by Bitcoin going into price discovery, right? And you can see very clearly what happens here. Now, let's take a look at roughly what we could expect afterwards. Based on the previous two cycles, Bitcoin again goes into price discovery, and then you get alt season, which is marked by the blue vertical lines. We're perfectly on track with previous cycles. So, what could happen next potentially? Well, maybe let's zoom in a little bit so we can get a more accurate reading. Going back two cycles, basically what happened is from the point that Bitcoin, really started to charge higher, okay, and others' dominance started to trend, what we saw was, others' dominance ripped to a new high in basically 4 months, give or take. And then last cycle, let's see how long it took. From when we started to trend, and I would argue we started to actually trend like here. Like I would say the bottom was in here, but the trend began right here. 126 days. So similar amount of time, right? And that wasn't the entirety of alt season, but that was just the first leg, right? You get a second leg both times. So what could we expect? Well, maybe we have to wait another week or maybe another 2 weeks or whatever. But Bitcoin is a liquidity vacuum right now. It's hanging out around 94K and altcoins are in the gutter. That's what happens every cycle. I'm showing you that right here, right? So, maybe it starts December 5th. I don't know. It's the end of November. What you could maybe expect is, through Q1, basically new highs on others' dominance with Bitcoin ripping in price discovery and altcoins gaining market share against Bitcoin, which is the perfect paradigm. That's why we're here in crypto, is for that specific paradigm. The 6-month period of time when you can make generational wealth if you play it the right way, right? So I'm telling you right here, I'm calling the bluff on altcoins, just like I called it on Bitcoin, and that happened to work out. But I'm telling you that it does not make sense contextually from a cyclical perspective for altcoins to like be front running a Bitcoin pullback here. I think you're seeing the opposite effect. I think what you're seeing is Bitcoin acting as a liquidity vacuum and altcoins basically just carving out, churning at this high time frame higher low before ultimately catching a huge, manic 4 or 5 month bid. And there's the start of alt season. It is genuinely weeks away. It is genuinely weeks away. And just a little example here, right? Like let's pull up Sol from last cycle. I'd like to show you guys specifically what I'm talking about here. All right, we'll put Sol in purple. I think there's some purple to the branding. So we're going to zoom way in and I'm going to show you, and I just cherry picked Sol as, it was one of the top L1s last cycle. Made a lot of people a lot of money, really kind of led during alt season. Okay. So here's Bitcoin. All right, so here we go. Hopefully you guys can see this. But Solana, actually, I'm going to put the 2-day on. That's just way too zoomed in. It just doesn't look good. Okay. So Bitcoin goes into price discovery like it is right now. You carve out your high time frame, higher low on others' dominance. And here was Sol last cycle. We'll put it in log. You couldn't even see it because it went up so much. How many charts out there look like this? Where like new altcoins launched and then they kind of ripped and they've just like sold off. There's so many that look like that, if you've been paying attention. A lot of meme coins too, just looking incredible. So the point in me showing you this is that what was Bitcoin doing during this bleed right here? So others' dominance was nuking, right? Others' dominance was nuking. You had your little mini alt season that we talked about, and altcoins were getting killed against Bitcoin. During this period of time, Bitcoin was chatting up to the all-time high. Okay, I'll put it in green because look, Bitcoin went from, under 10K to almost 30K, and alts were bleeding. And a prime example of that is Solana, one of the top L1s from last cycle. Hot new coin. Look at what it did. Nothing. Chop, bleed. Went from $5 to $1, right? It's terrible. Bitcoin 2x, and right here at this point in time was when all the, the Bitcoin only guys, and that's not a slight, like, do your thing, right? Do your thing. I love Bitcoin. I'm rooting for Bitcoin. I want it to go to $1 million in the next month. Like, I'm serious. I love Bitcoin. But looking at this is a prime example of what I'm talking about. This right here, when Bitcoin rips up to the previous cycle all-time high and breaks through, you see altcoins get smacked. Look at this, smacked. And then Bitcoin finally breaks out, and look at what Sol did the rest of the cycle, right? Look at what Sol did the rest of the cycle. From that point, from when we saw this definitively bottom and start trending, look at what we saw. Solana went up 23,000% in less than a year. In less than a year. And from that point in time on, Bitcoin went up. Oops, I can't even. It's on the same pane, but it went up from 26 to 70. It went up 2.5x. Okay. So Solana went up 23,000% during that period of time. Once Bitcoin was in price discovery and others' dominance bottomed, and Bitcoin went up 2.5x. So you can decide what you want to do, right? You could sell altcoins and start chasing Bitcoin here, or you could look at the facts, you could look at the data and say, this is something that I've seen before. I know what they're telling me on X. They're telling me that BlackRock is buying Bitcoin and countries are buying Bitcoin and Saudi sheiks are buying Bitcoin and everybody's buying Bitcoin and this is the Bitcoin only cycle and all this stuff. And I love Bitcoin, but as a trader, don't buy that. Don't buy that propaganda because there is an overwhelming amount of data and evidence to suggest that this cycle is just like previous cycles. And all of those catalysts that I listed off are real. I am not mocking them or refuting them. They're real. We've seen it. We're going to continue to see it. But to suggest that altcoins somehow here are going to continue to fall victim to Bitcoin when in reality, they are days or weeks away from actually dramatically outperforming that of Bitcoin if this time is not different, which there's an overwhelming amount of evidence to suggest that this time is in fact not different, even down to the little granularities. Okay? So I look at this chart and I go, oh man, it is time to hold, you know? It is time to hunker down and just let this thing play out, right? Bitcoin looking great. Altcoins looking terrible. Where have we seen this before? Where have we seen this before? Oh, wait. We've only ever seen this before, right? Because when you get the yellow dot, the orange dot, when you get this, and you see others' dominance rip from 9% to 19% in 100 days to 150 days, that is when your altcoin goes from 200 million to 5 billion, and you start thinking that it may never pull back. That's when this specific window of time, when Bitcoin is in price discovery and others' dominance carves out the high time frame higher low and begins its first uptrend, ultimately its second uptrend, right? But the first one is like the launch off of the floor, the most exciting part. This phase right here is when the life-changing money happens if you don't over-rotate and you don't panic and buy into any of the FUD. Even if it's positive FUD, being like Bitcoin's going higher, right? This is when the life-changing gains are made. This is it. So I think that we are coming out of our green dot, our high time frame higher low. I am once again calling a bluff here. I am calling the altcoin bluff. I think that they're lying to you. I think we could continue to bleed a little bit locally here, especially if Bitcoin pulls back to like, 89 or 88 or something like that. But this is, and we've said this for a while, but this is genuinely like sit on your hands, turn your brain off season. This is the everybody's a genius phase of the cycle. And this is also when altcoin mania starts. It might be tomorrow, it might be the first of next month, it might be the middle of next month. But you are incredibly close to this fractal playing out again. All right. And I'm going to show you one more because I've got you here. I'm going to show you one more. It's basically the same thing. But what I want to show you is this, but we're going to put the Bitcoin halvings over the chart instead, right? So typically from the Bitcoin halving, it will take about 230 to 240 days. I'll put it on the bottom before others' dominance, starts ripping, right? So from the Bitcoin halving to when we start to trend, 230, 240, right? Depending on where you want to count it from. Doesn't really matter. Okay. How about this one? From the halving to when we start trending, 238 days. From the halving to when we start trending. And again, it could be a couple days off. I'm on the weekly. I'm just dragging it quickly. Right now we're at 217. So that could take us out to the first week of December if it's the exact same thing. I'm just saying this. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that this time is in fact not different. Case in point, altcoins bleeding after a Bitcoin halving. Bitcoin in price discovery, altcoins carving out their high time frame high or low on their dominance chart. I'm calling the bluff. I called it 4 months ago, roughly, on Bitcoin when it was nuking under 60K. I said, we've seen this before. Here's why. I'm calling it right now on altcoins. I think you're about to get alt season, probably before the end of the year in a big way. Thank you guys so much for being here. Before you guys go, please consider liking the video and also subscribing if you found some value out of what we just did here today. And last but not least, guys, please consider checking out the links below. BB Terminal is an absolutely awesome product, guys. It's a Swiss Army knife. It's got all of the tools and data that you could ever need or want in order to succeed in these markets. And we custom built it here at BB. We spent about 9 months to about a year, actually, building this thing from scratch, and we are now in beta, so you can actually use it. It's heavily discounted right now, and if you buy the BB terminal, you can also pay in crypto, guys. If you check that out, you can pay in crypto. You're going to get access to our Telegram alerts channel also, but if you really want to take your trading to the next level, guys, check out one of our Discord packages. What you can expect there is 3 hours per day of private live voice calls with me and the entire BB team and community. We have active positions channels, TA channels, things that we don't talk about here on YouTube or on X, guys. There's nothing like it out there. And within the BB Discord, you're going to get free access to the BB terminal included for free. There is not another community out there doing what we're doing, guys. So we continue to reinvest our time and our money into the community, and that's why people love it and they stay. So this market is too big to navigate alone. I encourage you to get out there, find your group. We certainly want to be that group for you. Maybe, it's not what you're looking for. Maybe it's exactly what you're looking for. But my trading has gotten exponentially better. My confidence in these markets has gotten exponentially better when I surrounded myself with the guys on the BB team and the BB community. A bunch of guys, like-minded individuals that take it seriously. So definitely consider checking out one of our Discord packages. But if not, join us with BB Terminal plus Telegram. Last but not least, guys, check out the BB Academy. If you like my charting here today and you want to learn all of our tips, tricks, secrets, everything like that, how we cumulatively as a team here at BB have navigated these markets from a technical and fundamental perspective for decades, check out the BB Academy, guys. I just dropped a free course, How to Make Your Trading View Charts Look Beautiful. Important first step. If you don't know how to look at the data and manipulate the data to be easier to understand, you're going to struggle. So check out that free course. But if you really want to take it to the next level and expedite your journey towards understanding these markets, check out the paid course, guys. There's nothing like it out there. I honestly can say with confidence, it's one of the best courses, if not the best trading courses for all levels, beginner, intermediate, advanced. It covers everything you need to know. So a lot of people out there, myself included, teaching TA for free and FA. But there's a difference between a paid product and a free product, and you guys will see that if you join the BB Academy. It's an absolutely awesome course. But yeah, join us somewhere, guys. Join us in the Discord. Check out BB Terminal. Check out BB Academy. You can pay in crypto now for our services, so major, major benefit. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for being here. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Take care.